The building blocks of success are parents. You need the parents' help. Children are just a reflection of their parents. How many of you on back to school night, before you've ever met the parent, you can match the parent with the kid right away? You know, everybody repeat after me. Parents' friend.
Parents' friend.
By the way, it's 2022. Parent means different things in different homes. Some kids have no mommy, some kids have two mommies, some kids are being raised by a foster mommy or an auntie or an older sibling. Whoever the authority figure is at home, that's the parent. We need to do whatever it takes to get that person on our side. School districts will usually bring me in for 2 days. Day 1, I work with the teachers. Day 2, I work with the administrators. But on the night of day 1, I work with the parents. Because I think you need all 3 of those players on the same page, and that is how you move mountains together. Every single parent seminar, including the one I'm doing tonight for your folks, every single parent seminar I've ever conducted, I pointed this out, 24/7, 365, 8,760. For 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year equals 8,760 hours in a year. 6, 5, 180, 1,080. There's 6 hours of instructional time in a typical school day, 5 days a week, 180 days a year equals 1,080 hours of instructional time in a typical school year. Subtract 1,080 from 8,760, you get 7,680 hours. The child is with the parent, not the teacher. Who's the problem? That's not the way I'm going to say it to the parents, but here's the way I say it to parents. No matter what I do with your kid, you are 7 times more important than me. Have any of you ever seen the movie Jerry Maguire? 4 of you? Moving pictures, they put them in theaters? Yeah. Help me help you. If he doesn't learn how to read, he's spending the rest of his life with you, not with me. We need to be on the same team. I mean, I've been blessed with all sorts of wonderful mentors throughout my career. When I first started teaching elementary school, one of my mentors was this 80-year-old woman named Estelle. And on the one day I'd actually had control of my classroom, Estelle would show up unannounced, and she'd be like, "Hello, boys and girls!" And I'd lose control immediately. She'd waddle in, she's like, "Daniel, you dress so nicely. Look at these beautiful bulletin boards. I love the way you put the kids in small groups. May I make a suggestion?" Am I going to listen to her? Sure, she just gave me 3 compliments as opposed to my principal at your Dr. Lecter. He was a jerk. I never listened to anything he had to say. Still was always so kind and patient with me. She's like, "Daniel, don't look behind you. There's a boy stabbing another boy with a pencil. Don't look behind you. I need you to flick the light switch twice and he'll stop." And here's the thing about Estelle. Everything she suggested worked. So I learned very early on, this is a wise woman. Listen to Estelle. She said something which totally changed my career. One day she looks at me, she's like, "Daniel, a lot of the parents of your students had very negative experiences when they were in school. You gotta work them just as hard as the kids." And she'd always say, "Sugar over vinegar." Later on, I found out the actual expression is honey over vinegar, but she was a very nice lady. But she pumped me up. So I'm like, that's what my specialty is going to be, parent involvement. They're going to write folk songs about me. I'm so good at parent involvement. And so that was my priority, you know. So it'd be all like, you do 3 positives to a negative. So it goes like, when I was teaching preschool, I had 33 preschoolers in my, so I would do 7 phone calls a night. So over the course of 5 days, I cover everybody. You know, it was tougher when I was teaching like middle school and high school. I had 150 students, so I had to make 30 phone calls a night. But I'm a big believer in an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So it goes like this, week 1. "Hi, Mary's mom, it's Miss Brassell. I just want to tell you, I love having Mary in my classroom. She always sits in the front row, has a big grin on her face. All of her classmates love her. She's a natural born leader. Thank you so much for your support. Here's my home telephone number. You call me, you ever need anything." People always freak out that I always give out my home telephone number. Folks, in all my years of teaching, I think the most calls I ever got from a single parent in a year was maybe a dozen. It was never abused. If you had that situation, we can talk about it, but I don't think it'll be abused. Week 2. "Hey, Mary's mom, it's Miss Brassell. I just want to tell you, Mary won the 50-yard dash in our classroom Olympics today. We might have a future Olympian on our hands. I just love having your daughter in my classroom. She's such a bright, shining star. All of her classmates love her. She's such a natural born leader. Thank you so much for your support. Here's my home telephone number. You call me if you ever need anything." Week 3. "Hi, Mary's mom, it's Miss Brassell again. Just want to tell you, Mary got 100% on her vocabulary quiz. I'm telling you, your daughter is moving mountains. She is a natural born leader. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if she, excuse me, I wouldn't be surprised if she runs for president of the United States one someday. She is that good. Thank you so much for your support. Here's my home telephone number. You call me if you ever need anything. Week 4. Hi, Mr. Brassell. Did you hear that? Did you hear it? Got her. Got her. She's saying my name before I'm even saying hi. Now I know we can actually have a conversation. But yeah, I just want to make sure everything's all right at home because Mary and Dolores got in a fight in class today. If she's going to run for president someday, you know how the media can be about these things. And guess what Mary's mom just did? Exactly what you just did. She laughed. Because it just dawned on Mary's mom, she and I had the exact same objective, for her daughter to move mountains. When the parent figures out that is your goal, you are going to be amazed how much you can get accomplished together. Invest the time. If you don't know how to do it, send them to me. That first relationship you gotta make is the one with the parents. Now, it was either Socrates or Bobby McFerrin who once said, "Don't worry, be happy." I see so many educators that fear their job security nowadays. Folks, don't worry, there are jobs out there. I've seen them all around. You gotta avoid the naysayers. What do they look like? They look like this. I believe one bad apple does spoil the bunch. I used to teach with a woman, Miss Washington. She was sick one day. I'm like, "Miss Washington, how long have you been sick?" And she said, "In 3 more weeks, it'll be a month." This is the single most negative person I've ever met in my life. You gotta watch it, folks. Those people are out there all over the place. You know, Harry Warner in 1927 said, "Who the heck wants to hear actors talk?" Later that year, The Jazz Singer was the first talking motion picture, changed movie history. At his acceptance speech for the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1923, Robert Millikan famously said, "There's no likelihood man can ever tap the power of the atom." Less than 20 years later, we had atomic energy. One of my favorite quotes of all time came courtesy of Charles Duell. He was the head of the United States Patent Office in 1899. He said, "Everything that can be invented has been invented." You gotta surround yourself with positives, folks. Listen to the happy radio station on the way to work. True story. My first day as a teacher, as I pulled into the school parking lot, the very last song on the radio was Pink Floyd's The Wall. "We don't need no education." Freaked me out. From that day forward, it was Christian rock every single day. Now, how many of you study willow trees? What, I'm the only person who subscribes to Willow Tree Weekly in here? Well, you can learn a lot from a willow tree. Harvard did a study. This was fascinating. So there was these willow trees that were being attacked by caterpillars, and scientists discovered that willow trees were sending a chemical in the air to warn other willow trees about the caterpillars. These other willow trees would then create a new chemical in their leaves that made their leaves distasteful to the caterpillars, so the caterpillars wouldn't attack them. Thus, these willow trees saved the lives of all the other willow trees. Wow. We can all learn a lot from a willow tree. When was the last time you saw some bully popping off and you didn't step in to do something about it? That's something all of us have to do. We have to do a better job of finding our courage and stepping in and not allowing people to be bullies all the time. Do you find yourself doing this at the end of your workday each and every day? Well, I'm here to help. Everybody take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath out. There are 3 steps to happiness. If you want to take notes on this, you may. Step 1 requires that you get 2 rubber bands and 2 paper clips. Step 2, you have to tie the rubber bands together, attach the paper clips to the ends of the rubber bands. Step number 3, you get that smile plastered on your face every single day. Now, when you show up for work every day, do you find people are excited to see you? Or do you find that your colleagues tend to avoid you most of the day? When you speak up at faculty meetings, do you find that people are excited to hear the sweet chirp of your voice? Or are they annoyed by your constant caw all the time? Do you get your way by pushing others around and intimidating them? Or are you wise and kind and patient? See, I've observed over 11,000 teachers in their classrooms, so the media is constantly interviewing me, asking me, "Danny, how are teachers doing?" And I can honestly say, pretty well. Out of every 100 teachers I observe, maybe 10 of them should go back to their old jobs. 2 of them belong in a federal institution. Those are the 2 the media focuses on. About 15 of them deserve capes, because I would do anything to get my kid in that classroom. The vast majority of teachers, 70 to 75 out of every 100, they're pretty good. They're not good at everything, but if you gave them some time, a mentor, and some resources, you could turn them into that super teacher. I mean, under the federal mandate, they want every first-year teacher to be Joe Montana. I'd like to remind the federal government, it took Joe Montana 4 seasons to become an all-pro quarterback. We need to bring the pep back into our schools. Potlucks, encouragement, prayer. Potlucks. Any administrators in the room? All right. I'm going to give a tip, administrative tip. Get rid of faculty meetings. Replace them with potlucks. Words matter. People don't like faculty meetings. They like potlucks. And when you do your weekly potluck, run it like King Arthur. You remember King Arthur's rule? When the knights sat at the round table, they were only allowed to talk about their triumphs in the field. And if any knight had a problem, they would share their problem, and the rest of the knights would go around and offer possible solutions to the problem, as opposed to most faculty meetings, which usually degenerate into, my life is tougher than your life. You're never going to get anything accomplished that way. Encouragement. We need to learn to write it down. You want your preschoolers to learn how to read quickly? Write nice notes to them. You know, I do Post-its all the time to my faculty, to my students. You know, if you need Post-it notes, go to doctor's offices. They get tons of free Post-its from pharmaceutical companies. I used to do my Joe Friday that way. I'd be like, hi, I'm Danny Brassell, inner city teacher. Can you donate some Post-its to me? I mean, because the moment you tell a person you're a teacher, you might as well tell them you got the Zika virus. What do you do for a living? I'm a teacher. Really? Here's some free stuff. All right, so that's how I get my free stuff. So I'll write Post-its all the time, you know. So, oh my God, I work this side of the room. So Caitlin opens up her desk, says, Caitlin, this is the cleanest desk I've ever seen. You are moving mountains this year, girl. I am so proud of you. I love you, Miss Brassell. Riley opens up a book. Riley, you've been reading like a mad dog all year long. You are bound to succeed in whatever you do. I have faith in you, I believe in you, and I love you, Miss Brassell. It's different when it's written down, folks. I mean, I'm on the road way too much. Over 100 days a year. I miss my wife, I miss my kids. Before I go out on a trip, I put Post-its all over my house. My wife will open up the produce drawer in the refrigerator and says, honey, you're the apple of my eyes. These notes produce results, folks. In the form of 3 children. Finally, please don't hate me. I was blessed. I taught in a school where my colleagues and I prayed together and for one another. Mrs. Turner used to lead our prayer circle after school. She'd be like, dear Lord, please help these stupid children. Folks, if you ain't hanging out with the veterans, you are really missing out on a whole lot. My friend John Lisa Pansik, she has this wonderful expression. She says, who's going to hold your rope? Oh, I love that. I mean, if there's one thing human beings have proven, is you can accomplish anything you want in life on your own. But why do it on your own when you can bring others along for the ride? So I think the second relationship all of us have to build is a relationship we build with our teams, and of course leads to the third type of relationship, which is everyone else. I've learned I can learn from anybody and everybody. Before I was married, I used to have a speeding problem, so I spent most weekends in traffic school. I actually really like traffic school. You meet really interesting people in traffic school. So one Saturday I'm in traffic school, and the guy to my right just did 20 years in state penitentiary. Shaved head, little mustache, tattoos everywhere, baggy shirt, baggy pants. Guy to my left is a brain surgeon. He's wearing a 3-piece suit, 6'3", spoke just like Stone Phillips. And I'm ashamed to say this, but I made judgments about both these guys at the beginning of the day. Shame on me, because by the end of the day, I thought the ex-con was the coolest guy I'd ever met in my life. I mean, first of all, he knew every law in the book. He's like, hey, Danny, man, that ticket you got, that's California Criminal Code 503C, man. You go to this judge, you'll get off. I mean, I was writing notes like crazy. He knew every law in the book. But that's not what made me love him. What made me love him was there was one part in the day where the teacher asked each of us to stand up in front of the group, and we had to share with others what our biggest pet peeve was about other drivers. And so some people stand up and say, I hate it when people change lanes without signaling. Some people say, I hate it when people don't come to a complete stop at a stop sign. She gets to the ex-con. He says, he doesn't stand. She's like, nothing. Teacher, she challenged him. No, sir, please. Stand up and share with the group what annoys you about other drivers. He leans back in his chair. He's like, nothing, man. Ain't nothing nobody else does that I haven't done before.
Holy cow. I think that's the wisest statement I've ever heard come out of a human being's mouth. I love how holier than thou all of us are. Oh, I can't vote for that person. That person lied. Oh, hypocrisy, folks. It's alive and well. You know, I've taught every single grade level, and I can make an argument for why I love every single grade level, but I'll let you in on a secret. My favorites are the little ones. Why? Because they don't know what they can't do yet. And they say amazing things every single day. I had this beautiful little girl, Maya, she comes up to me at recess one day. She's like, Mr. Brassell, this is Anjanae. Anjanae's Nikisha's friend. Nikisha is my friend. So that means Anjanae's my friend too. Think about that for a moment. What a lovely way to look at the world. I need to surround myself with a lot more people like that, man. We got these beautiful kids in our classrooms with personalities waiting to be pushed out of them, and we ignore them. Kids are brilliant. We pay them no attention. Two most incredible questions I've ever been asked by human beings were asked by little kids. Maria, 4 years old, one day she raised her hand and said, Miss Brassell, where does it say Humpty Dumpty's an egg? It doesn't. Nowhere in that nursery rhyme does it ever say Humpty Dumpty's an egg. But there's always a picture of an egg. How did I miss that all those times? Tyrell, 6 years old, raised his hand one day. He said, Mr. Brassell, is Curious George a monkey or an ape? And I laughed. So I reread the book. How many of you have ever read Curious George? If your hand doesn't get up, get out of early education right now. What does the man in the yellow hat always call Curious George? My little monkey. Yeah, where's his tail? He ain't got a tail because he ain't a monkey. He's a chimpanzee. I read that book 3,000 times. Missed that every single time. Tyrell, first time, got it. That's why if I'm ever murdered, I want a preschooler on the scene, not my wife. Preschooler would be like, he's approximately 6 feet tall, dark jacket, dark pants. My wife would be like, I don't know, I think he's this tall, I think he's white. You know, it's like the Gladstone Disraeli paradox. Winston Churchill's mother, Jenny, was a contemporary of Queen Victoria. She knew every famous person in society. And a reporter asked her one day to talk about the difference between Prime Minister Gladstone and Prime Minister Disraeli. Her response was phenomenal. She said, well, whenever I left a meeting with Prime Minister Gladstone, I left feeling like, wow, he is the most interesting person I have ever met. But whenever I left a meeting with Prime Minister Disraeli, I left feeling like, wow, I am the most interesting person he has ever met. What are we doing to make the people around us feel important every single day? So again, to me, the best educators are reflective educators. I'm going to give you 23 seconds with the people around you